You guys ready? What is that? I don't got time right this second. Good evening. I'd like to call the September 11th regular city council meeting to order. Before we begin, we're going to have the presentation of the colors and the Pledge of Allegiance in remembrance of all responders and civilians who lost their lives on 9/11/2001. The Cathedral City Police and Fire Department Honor Guard will present the colors for the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance
To the flag
of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you, and please remain standing for the invocation by Councilmember Gutierrez.
Oh God, have mercy and everlasting love. We come before you today with your tender hearts, remembering our lost parents and another 2001. Grant eternal rest to the souls of two 2,977 innocent lives lost. And great comfort to families, friends, and loved ones who still bear the weight and grief and loss. We honor the courage of the firefighters, police officers, medical personnel, and volunteers who run into danger with selfless bravery to save others. Bless those who survive but continue to carry scars, seen and unseen, from the day of terror. Lord, compassion. Cure the wounds of fear and division. Help us be the instruments of peace in the world still needed healing. May our memory of that tragic day inspire us to work with justice, kindness, and unity. God, it is in the precious name that we pray. Amen.
Amen. Thank you, Councilmember. Please be seated. City Clerk, may we please have roll call?
Councilmember Lamb? Here. Councilmember Gutierrez? Here. Councilmember Gregory?
Here.
Mayor Pro Tem Ross? Mayor Carnevale?
Here.
Please let the record show Mayor Pro Tem Ross is absent.
Okay, thank you. Are there any changes to the agenda? Thank you, sir. City Clerk, will you please read the statement of participation?
Public comment is the opportunity for members of the public to comment on items that are within the City Council's jurisdiction but not on the agenda. Because of restrictions contained in California law, the City Council may not discuss or act on any item not on the agenda, but may briefly respond to statements made or ask a question for clarification. The mayor may also request a brief response from staff to questions raised during public comment or request that a matter be agendized for a future meeting. Public comment will be limited to 3 minutes. If you are a member of the public and you wish to address the City Council, please complete a request to speak form available at the entrance and submit it to the city clerk. You will be called upon at the appropriate time. If you have materials or other items to present to the members of the City Council, please do not approach them. All materials shall be presented to the city clerk for distribution. Okay, Mayor, we do have
Thank
a
you.
couple of requests to speak
Okay.
this evening. So first, I want to bring up Jimmy. And I would like to allow maybe a few extra time. We do have an interpreter.
That's fine. Thank you.
Hello, this is Jimmy Barola. I did make a request for interpreters for hot air balloon event celebration and the musical concert associated with it on November 20th. A friend who is an interpreter got a letter from the city, and it seems like there was a misunderstanding about my request. So the message that I received is what I would like to share back with you. Let me pull it up here. And I'm going to ask the interpreter to read it for me. Thank you for your recent inquiry. The city is considering your requests with the concert. It may be too close to the event to allow time for an ASL interpreter. They may be able to provide a set list and written lyrics if the artists will allow it. The balloon flights are available during the early mornings with very limited availability. If you have someone who can do this for you during the balloon flight, they or you would need to pay for their flight. Please place your reservations ASAP for the balloon flights. There may be tethered balloon rides available, weather permitting, at some of the events. These do not require a reservation. I will reach out to you to let you know if they are able to provide the lyrics and set list. I hope you enjoy the balloon festival. Thank you, Cindy Wilkinson, Manager, Fantasy Balloon Flights. Thank you. So my response, hang on one moment. Here is my response. I don't understand the study session portion. I will be attending the regular meeting at 5:30 on September 11th to discuss the Hot Air Balloon Glow Night Concert Festival on November 20th, 2024. Gay Pride Festival March 2025 outdoor stage, live entertainment and interpreter requests. Hot Air Balloon Festival is presented by Agua Caliente Casino. The show at Agua Caliente Casino strongly supports deaf and hard of hearing people and provides interpreters for the shows. Palm Canyon Theater, Desert Theater Works, Fantasy Springs Show, Palm Springs Cultural Center, Desert Ensemble Theater, Desert Performs, Acrosur Arena Concerts, and McCollum Theater strongly support deaf, hard of hearing people and provide interpreters. I really enjoyed watching the Madonna concert at Acrosur Arena, providing interpreters last May. I loved it. Thank you, Jimmy. So, I'm still interested in making this request for an interpreter for the Hot Air Balloon Festival music concert, for the Gay Pride as well. There will be a large number of deaf people attending, I'm sure. Hopefully, I can appreciate you can understand the situation where I would ask for interpreters and that you will accept my request. And that's it. Thank you.
All right, thank you. We definitely understand. We definitely understand, and I'm sure notes have been taken by the city manager and assistant city manager, and we'll pass this on to Ryan Hunt, our activities director. And thank you so much for speaking today.
Okay.
Thank you, Jimmy.
Hello.
You're welcome.
Hello, Peg.
And thank you, interpreter.
Okay, our next speaker is Ron Oden.
Hello, Ron.
Hello, everyone. Thank you for this opportunity. As you know, I am the trustee for Area 3, which takes in the city of Palm Springs and part of Cathedral City. I was appointed in spite of all of the controversy about the board that was taking place, the Board of Trustees at College of the Desert. They unanimously decided that I was the best person to be on the board with them. And now I am running for that seat. But I really am here tonight really just to give you an update on Roadrunner Motors. Roadrunner Motors is on track with the groundbreaking scheduled for sometime in October 2024. The facility will house all of COD's automotive technology programs, supporting combustion, diesel, hydrogen, and electric-powered motors. The program is also considering adding management courses, which I think is essential because more people need to develop their own businesses. So I think this is an excellent addition to the program. The facility will support approximately 300 students per semester and provide a pipeline of technicians for the Valley and with a thriving wage for COD students who are already in high demand. I'd like to say a special thank you to the automotive community, which has already been there to support and are waiting for our graduates. The Palm Springs expansion project is also on track for the Western Valley campus. Now, when I was still mayor of the city of Palm Springs, I left office in 2007. And I was mayor and negotiated this deal for the Western Valley campus project while I was mayor. And here we are, I've almost been out of office 20 years, and we haven't put a shovel in the ground. That's one of the reasons why I was excited about getting on the Board of Trustees. Since I've been on the board, we have actually put over $70 million toward this project. It's essential for the students who live in this part of the valley to have the educational opportunities that they need and that they deserve. So it's time. We are on track now for breaking ground in November of this year. So, of course, it'll take a lot longer than the Roadrunner Motors, but both of these projects are now on board. I'd like to say a special thank you to the citizens of Cathedral City who came forward and said, what happened to our project? They said they were going to do this, and they haven't done it. So thank you to the citizens for being active, being interested, and being involved. The Palm Springs project has passed the first phase through the Department of State Architecture. And we've already submitted the program for the second phase. That's why once we break ground, we'll be able to start construction. I'm excited about this because this campus will offer programs that we have not offered before.
Ron, I really hate to do this to you with all due respect. You had 3 minutes and I let you run, and I got a feeling you could go on for another 20. So
I could.
In all good fairness, I want to thank you for being here and good luck And anytime you want to come back, please do. And
I will do so.
All right.
Thank you so very much for this opportunity.
thank you, Ron.
All right.
The next speaker is Enrique Chio.
I'm sorry, what's the name?
Enrique Chio. And Mayor, I did provide some documents to you to review. Go ahead, sir.
Hi, good evening, City Council. Thank you so much for representing the beautiful city of Cathedral City, and also acknowledge the fire department that's here.
Enrique,
so
speak
much.
into the microphone.
Oh,
so we
sure,
can all
sure,
hear
sure.
you.
How's that? Good?
Perfect.
All right, 10-4. All righty. First of all, I want to address a speed bump in our neighborhood. We've had multiple accidents in our neighborhood. 2 collided or crashed into our wall, brick wall. One actually went through. But most importantly, they're children. Our neighborhood has children there, and people are driving through there like it's Indy 500. So if we had speed bumps there, that could slow them down, maybe blow out their transmission, get an idea that, hey, we can't speed through here, right? Okay, thank you. The other thing is we haven't seen our street sweeper in about 4 months. And I called last week regarding that. The gentleman said, well, they're supposed to be there at least once a month. You have the pictures there showing not only the tree that's responsible for all the leaves and debris, what have you, on our streets, but I sweep around because I'm very proudful of our home, our surroundings. So I clean it up, and there's always some kind of debris, whether it's the leaves or something else. So I'd really appreciate if we can get the street sweeper back in our area there. The other thing is defecating from pets. I have signs, as you see, there are signs that I have, please don't poop or urinate on our property. Still happens. There's a lot of stray cats there in that area. Maybe we can get the Humane Society to come out and kind of police that a little bit, because I have to clean that up. And even though I have the signs there are people that still let their dogs poop on our property. Minute to go. Mailbox, got a picture of the mailbox there. For every home in that area, there's at least 3 vehicles per home. And as you can see, there's a car always parked in front of our mailbox. I always leave a polite sign, please, if you'd be so kind, not to park in front of our mailbox. So maybe there can be something done about that as well, too. Getting back to the poop, in some counties, if you don't even carry a bag, it's a $250 fee for not doing that. So maybe we can implement something so that people can consider it and pick up after their pets defecating. Fireworks, what's going on here? I mean, it's like every night. Last night, I thought I was at Disneyland seeing all these fireworks out there, but I wasn't. And we have dogs, and let me tell you, they get petrified of that. So maybe policing the area a little bit more, curtail the fireworks. 20 seconds left. Let's see, street sweeper, mailbox, fireworks, crash wall, pet poop. And I think that is it. Thank you so much for listening to me. I appreciate that.
All right, Enrique, did you give your address to anyone? Is it on here?
She probably has
Mr.
it.
John Carella will walk with you and get some
Okay.
information from
Thanks
you.
so much.
And one more minute, Ernesto Gutierrez.
Yeah, those are all the pictures I have there. Sorry? Desert Vista Road and Corral. There have been multiple accidents right on that very corner as well, too. Oh, one last thing. You'll see some schmutz that's on the curbside. I don't know what that is, but it's some brown, doesn't have an odor, but it's some kind of chemical that someone's releasing there, and that could be toxic.
Thank you. You've done the right thing coming forward.
I appreciate it.
sir.
Thanks so much.
Have a good
Appreciate it,
day.
guys. Thank you.
The next speaker is Jens Mueller.
Good evening, Council. Thank you for this time. I'd like to give a big shout out to our police and fire, our first responders on this day. Amazing what you guys do for us. Who do you represent, Mayor?
Jens, I'm not going to do this with
Ernesto?
you. I'm not going to answer no questions.
Rita, you don't have to answer,
Okay.
Mayor. Rita? Raymond? You represent staff? Or do you represent us, the taxpayer? You voted 5-0 to increase our taxes. Do you understand that right now a lot of families can't even afford to buy the food they want? Yet you voted 5-0, and I'm thinking to myself, why would you vote 5-0 to raise taxes? Did you look at any other alternative, Mayor? Did you look at cutting wages? from the 235 employees that we have, that we pay for. Wages like a police commander making $412,000 a year. Fire battalion chief making over $400,000 a year. Now, the President of the United States only makes $400,000 a year, and here we are a lower middle income city with $60,000 medium income. And they're making $400,000, they're making presidential wages. I could go on. We have 20 employees making over $250,000, and you didn't think to maybe consider cutting wages 10% rather than raising the taxes of our community? Rita? Was there any consideration at all to maybe driving over to Palm Desert or Rancho Mirage and say, hey, how do you guys do it? We have a wonderful police and fire department. There's no question they're top of the line. But I will submit to you that we can't afford them anymore. Palm Desert has sheriffs. Palm Desert has CAL FIRE. And I don't see crime rampant, and I don't see fires rampant in Palm Desert. Rancho Mirage has the same thing. Did you even consider that before you voted 5-0 to increase our taxes? I think the answer is no, you didn't. Did you look at firing anybody? Hey, we got 235, maybe we can cut the staffs in half. The answer again is no. You didn't look at that, did you? You've lost all credibility with the people you represent. I don't know what platform you ran on when you asked for our vote, Mayor. Did you say, hey, vote for me, I'm going to raise your taxes? Did you even think to maybe get in your car, drive to Palm Desert, and think of alternatives other than raising our taxes?
Thank you, Jens. That's your 3 minutes. I do appreciate it. Thanks.
I'm urging all everyone to vote no on W.
Speak in your mind. Thank you. Do we have anyone else?
Yes, Mayor. I did receive a speaker slip, and I do apologize. I'm not able to read it. I believe the last name is Peterson. Yes. Oh, please join the podium, sir, and state your name for the record, please.
I think I checked the wrong block.
Okay, is this for not regular public comment, something on an item? Okay, what item would you like, sir?
Public hearing.
Okay, 4A. Okay, thank you. Are there any other members of the public that would wish to comment on items not on the agenda? Yes, sir, please state your name for the record.
Okay. Good evening, everyone. My name is Dorian, and I wanted to come today to, first of all, thank the council for your response to my concerns by installing the temporary traffic calming unit. Mostly on behalf of my mom because she likes them, but as I said before, I'm asking for a more permanent type of traffic calming, like speed humps, because, but I can say that this has helped because it basically slowed down about 50% of the people who speed there, but the other half just still does it. And what's really helping is the cones around the units that make it tighter. Without that, it wouldn't do much. But I used to love trash days because I would put my can out as far into the street as possible, making my own traffic calming. So this is nice because it's a response from you guys, but I want to be clear that I'm not doing this for me, and none of the advocacy I do is for me. I'm doing it for generations to come, and for the children, and for any family that may live there after us. I want to make my community more livable, more walkable, and just leave a better world behind. That is why I do this. And public safety, which includes traffic safety, we can't revolve our campaign around public safety and then vote against things like speed humps that help with public safety and traffic safety. So again, the traffic unit with the cones is cool, but besides continuing to please consider speed humps, may I also suggest considering, I'm gonna send you a picture of a piece of infrastructure that I ran into in Los Angeles, which works fairly well, and it's not a speed hump. So just a thought, and thank you for your consideration. I also want to thank you for the areas where you are making improvements, like the new crosswalks, and the Date Palm bike lane is beautiful. I do hope to see it complete all the way someday, but I do love the way it turned out. Thank you.
Thank you, young man. Appreciate it.
Are there any other members of the public that wish to comment on items not on the agenda? I see none, Mayor.
All right, well, thank you. We're going to move on to the council member reports. Let's start with Mr. Gutierrez.
Well, thank you, Mayor. Well, good evening. Nice to be back once again. This time is over, and we recently had Labor Day. I hope everyone had.
Can you adjust your mic? The interpreters cannot hear you.
I got you. Go ahead.
Got it? Okay. Good evening again. Summer's over, and it's nice to be back. I hope everyone enjoyed their Labor Day weekend. And I did not have the opportunity to travel or do any vacationing this summer. I had a couple of family health issues and was unable to do that, but I will do that in the near future. Now that the summer's over, we will start our regular meetings again, and also meetings that we have with other cities and other committees and many other things that we have to do. So we're back to a full schedule. Since we last met, I did a TV interview with the Spanish Univision regarding the additional dwelling units, which is the ADU program that Cathedral City recently implemented. Cathedral City offers 4 plans for people that are interested in either adding a unit to their property or converting their garage into a property. We have pre-approved plans that are free on our website for Cathedral City residents. You still have to pay for the permits, but the plans are free. You still have to do a little bit of work with your site plan, but the plans are offered free to residents. Now, tomorrow I will be attending a Coachella Valley Conservation Committee meeting, and I'll report about that meeting later on. And on Friday, our city council and myself will be attending the mayor and tribal leaders luncheon, and we'll report to see what happened on the next meeting. And what else did I do here? Now, I did have a couple interactions with our constituents, some which had, of course, issues with code enforcement. Others had questions regarding permits. And I also had the opportunity to drive around my district to see what was going on, and I was able to actually report several issues with code enforcement, varying from, again, we had an uptick in shopping carts, abandoned shopping carts, and also with illegal food vendors, and again, with landscapings not being completed. And one more thing is September is a month of quite a few birthdays, including our mayor coming up on Sunday.
Didn't forget.
No, I did not. And also my other half, she has the same birthday as the mayor here. My sister-in-law has a birthday the following day. My secretary and my brother has a birthday this month, in the next couple of days. So
Sounds like
a lot of
you a lot of
birthdays
money.
coming up in September. Yeah. And that concludes my report, Mayor. Thank you.
Councilmember Gregory.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, and an early happy birthday to you. All right, yes, a lot has happened since our last meeting, which was way back in mid-August, but in the interest of time, I know we have a bunch of agenda items tonight. I'll just really briefly go over. Since our last meeting, I was able on August 20th to attend the deputy police chief interviews. I know the chief has several panels. He likes to get some advice from professionals and from the community as to the deputy police chief. And so I know he has made a selection, and I think it's public knowledge, right? That Rick Sanchez, who is here in the room, has been selected as our new deputy police chief and will be sworn in next Monday here at City Hall at 10 o'clock, if anybody wants to attend. Congratulations and to you, Rick, and I know that congratulations to us because you're going to be doing a wonderful job, and thank you again, Chief, for allowing the community to give input into your selection, for making such an excellent choice, and for continuing to I would say, raise up a number of people within your own department into leadership positions and helping them do so. So that says a lot about you, Chief. Also, on August 21st, I did attend Visit Greater Palm Springs Mixer. It was here at the DoubleTree in Cathedral City, and a number of people from the Visit Greater Palm Springs organization, which included other elected officials, but also people from the hospitality community attended and were able to see what the DoubleTree has going. They've had a number of improvements, including in their spa, and they were actually showing off some planned room improvements that they have coming up. And then on August 26th, I did represent the city at the Coachella Valley Association of Governments Transportation committee meeting. A number of items there, including reimbursing the city for some work that's been done on preliminary studies for the possible interstate and Duval interchange. That would be sometime off in the future, but these things take a lot of time, and so it was good that we were able to continue to move that forward. And earlier today, I also attended the Riverside County Transportation Commission meeting representing the city. At that meeting, a lot of the discussion at that meeting had to do with some improvements on the 91 freeway in Corona, which is a long ways from here, but it is always important that we participate regionally. And of course, many of us travel that way sometime during our travels, and so we'll continue to work with our other partners throughout the county to try to make improvements. There was also an approval of a hydrogen refueling station for the public transportation, bus transportation out in Blythe at the Palo Verde Valley Transportation. So it was a very varied meeting, as they often are. And so with that, I would like to close and, of course, remind everyone that today is 9/11. If you were here earlier in the meeting, you saw our presentation by our police and fire. So thanks to them for making sure that we continue to honor those that paid the ultimate sacrifice on September 11th, and we will never forget. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you, Councilmember Lamb.
Great, and thank you so much. And I just wanted to start out by saying I wasn't able to attend the last meeting. We were out of state on a family matter, but I did have a chance to follow with the Access Channel 17, the government access channel, and watch it when I came home. And I just wanted to applaud my colleagues on council and the wonderful staff we have. It was like the John Corella Engineering Night. It had all these different projects, and he gave an overview of what was happening, and it was just wonderful. I really appreciate that. Every item tonight will refer back to some aspect of our strategic plan. And we embarked on a discussion about the importance of strategic planning in 2022. The council voted to initiate getting a grant and somebody to facilitate that process. And then in January, for our goal setting, it was the goal setting / strategic planning. And at that time, we already had the input from the community. That was some community members attended in person, and we had that consulting company did outreach to community members, and we had input via email, text messaging, the online feedback, and it was just brilliant because when we sat down, it happened to be Ann Ambrose's first day, and she was at my table. She's our assistant city manager, but we seriously talked about what the feedback from the residents, and Dorian alluded to this during his remarks. The top item was police and fire, our public safety personnel, that we can recruit, train, and maintain, and then get them the equipment they need to better serve you. Second was infrastructure, and John did a great job in talking about all the many grants, federal funding, the Highway Safety Improvement Program, ATP grants, everything that has to be in this bouillabaisse of stuff to make sure this project happens. And then finally, our parks and community events. And then Antonio's sitting here, so I want to applaud him because he's actually the boots on the ground making a lot of this stuff happen for our residents. And all that is because it's that kind of that exquisite blending of attraction and promotion that we want to bring businesses here and continue revitalizing this city. So I just want to thank all of you. I was only gone a week, but when I see it from not sitting up here and watching what's happening and the changes that have been here, I've been in the desert for 43 years, and I've been in Cathedral City for 24, and the changes are wonderful, so thank you. The first thing I did this week was I had an opportunity to go to the Cathedral City Senior Center. Every Monday they have the food bank, and it is absolutely amazing, and the underpinnings of Cathedral City are really strong nonprofits and volunteerism, and there are between 25 and 40 people there making the food bank happen, and they've doubled the amount of people that they're able to provide services to from 150 to almost 400. So it's really an unbelievable enterprise, and if you don't have anything to do on a Monday morning, you've already had your coffee, I invite you to come down to the Senior Center because it's a well-oiled machine, and everybody's happy, and everybody's got their little aprons on, and they're ready to go and helping people. So it's really wonderful. There are lots of other activities that have been that I don't want to mention because I don't want to take up too much time. But it was very touching tonight and beautiful that we remembered September 11th. And I'm an old lady, and I have 3 significant events that really altered my perception of community and what I think about community. And that is, I was a young girl sitting in a classroom, and it was a Catholic school, and the nuns clicked on the intercom, and I heard Walter Cronkite talking about the assassination of President Kennedy. And it rocked my world, and it's changed it forever. I know the value of community and how we have to be together. And then 9/11, I was talking to Commander Sanchez, and that was the morning. I'm a retired school principal, and we had a staff meeting. And we couldn't believe what was happening, and we had the TV on, and we were sitting there just, it was unreal. And then the final thing that really rocked my world was Sandy Hook, and I was a principal out in Coachella. And one day, moms were coming through the school campus with babies in baby carriages. Everybody was greeting one another, and the next day everything changed. So I know how things can change. But these are 2 quotes that I think are particularly worth repeating. If we learn nothing else from this tragedy, we learn that life is short and there is no time for hate. And that was written by Sandy Dahl, the wife of the pilot of Flight 93. And the next one, even the smallest act of service, the simplest act of kindness is a way to honor those we lost, a way to reclaim the spirit of unity that followed 9/11. Barack Obama. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Okay, I'll be brief here. Last month, Councilmember Ross and myself attended the Palm Springs Board of Realtors breakfast at the Mitchell Center. We shared what's going on in Cathedral City. We had question and answers for about an hour. It was a lot of fun. A lot of great questions were asked. I spoke with 2 different residents about cannabis odor, and Charlie and Ann worked with Justin to come up with a new program to zero in where these odors are coming from. It's really hard to pinpoint this because it travels, but I think Justin's got a good handle on it, and it has been a little bit of a problem, but we will correct it as soon as we can. I had the honor to swear an attorney. Christina called me and said there was a young man becoming an attorney and asked if I would swear him in to the state bar here, and that was really fun. And at the 20th of this month, I'll be marrying 2 people at Desert Princess. I've never done that before, so that's really going to be kind of unique. Yeah, I'm really honored to do that. I met with Eric, Ryan, and Andy to go over the highlights for this Come in All Valley Tribal Luncheon, Mayors and Luncheons this Friday. And then yesterday I met with the County Riverside tax collector and his staff. They want to work with the city here to use our social network to explain tax collections, how you can pay, how you might not have to pay. So I put him in touch with Ryan Hunt to start doing weekly information on the county taxes. This Sunday, I'll be attending the open house at Agnes Pelton. And of course, Monday, I'll be honored to be there with Rick Sanchez, coming to Deputy Chief, along with Commander Hanley, and then Officers Marco Ramirez and Marcus Isla, police officers. And then on the 21st of this month, International Day of Peace at the Senior Center. That's going to be fun. And I'd like to finish off by saying, I really find it disingenuous when somebody can walk in here and give kudos to a police department, fire department, and then ask to cut their pay. Well, as long as this council's together and as long as I'm here, we'll never defund the police department. A lot of those, thank you. A lot of those numbers that he mentioned happened years ago, and our payroll in the police department, fire department are in order, are in check. And those are things that this council and the council before this council couldn't control. So I just wanted to make that clear, but we do appreciate our police and fire department. They'll never be laying any one of them off. Save some money. And this council thought this over very, very thoroughly, along with Ann and Charlie, about the tax revenue. It was time. We had to move up a little bit. And of course, the ultimate decision is the residents of Cathedral City. It's not this council. We brought it to you guys. You voted in. Okay, if it's not voted in, you have to say about it. So we're not doing anything wrong. We're doing it right, and I stand behind that. So with that being said, I'm going to move on here to, let me get my
And Mayor, if it's all right with you, before we go to the consent agenda, I wanted to introduce Eric Becerril.
Oh, absolutely.
Our new economic development. Come up here, Eric. And I'll let him tell a little bit about himself. He came to us most recently from Desert Hot Springs, but I think he has some other experience beyond that. We're delighted to have Eric with us, and I expect great things out of him. Eric?
Hey, hi, good evening, Mayor, good evening, Council, and good evening, community of the City of Cathedral City. I am very excited to be here and take great pride in taking on this role. I think there's a lot of responsibility that goes into being a public servant. I've been in public service for 14 plus years, and I really do enjoy every bit of it. I think working for the citizens is very important, and ensuring that we follow through with Council's mission, and having the support of an amazing staff is always great. Everyone has been very kind here. I look forward to supporting the community and bringing some more resources for the community. So again, I look forward to being here, and I'm just right downstairs if you ever need me. So thank you.
We need you. You'll be seeing us.
Well, I'm happy to be here.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you for that, Charlie. Appreciate it. Will the city clerk please read the consent agenda items, please?
Yes, Mayor. Item 3A is to waive full reading of ordinances on agenda. Item 3B is to approve the August 14th, 2024 study session and regular City Council meeting minutes. Item 3C is to approve the fiscal year 2023-2024 Community Development Block Grant Consolidated Annual Performance Evaluation Report for submittal to the U.S. Department of Housing and Urban Development. Item 3D is to accept a gift of drone show for the Cathedral City International Hot Air Balloon Festival. Item 3E is to accept the resignation of Vidilio Corrales from the Historic Preservation Committee. Item 3F is to ratify the nomination of Peter Bedard by Mayor Mark Carnevale to fill the unexpired vacant seat on the Planning Commission continuing through June 30th, 2026. Item 3G is to approve amendments to the regulations covering executive, administrative, professional, confidential, and other particular employees. Item 3H is to approve a resolution adopting an updated citywide salary schedule. Item 3I is to reject bids for the construction of the Public Works Yard Fence Replacement Project. Item 3J is to adopt a resolution designating a voting delegate and alternates for the League of California Cities annual business meeting on October 18th, 2024. That concludes the consent agenda.
Thank you. Any comments from council members or questions? No. Any public comments?
I did not receive any requests to speak forms, but if you're a member of the public and you wish to comment on items that are on the consent agenda, please raise your hand. And I see none, Mayor.
All right. Do we have a motion and a second?
Move approval.
Okay. Is this working?
It says waiting. She's working on it.
Okay, we did have some technical issues, and I believe we're still having them, so we'll do a roll call. Okay, so if we could please repeat the motion. It was a motion by Councilmember Gregory.
Correct.
And a second by Councilmember Lamb. Roll call. Councilmember Lamb. Councilmember Gutierrez.
Yes.
Councilmember Gregory?
Yes.
Mayor Carnevale?
Yes.
Motion carries all ayes.
Thank you. Okay, before I come kind of locked on the screen, are you? Can I X out of here?
Let's see. If she-
Okay, there we go. All right, perfect. Okay, public hearings, item 4, specific plan amendment 99-58A, Uptown Village Specific Plan and Design Review 23-003, Rosemont Storage Project. Do we have a staff report, Mr.
Thank you, Mayor. The staff report will be presented by our consulting planner, Martin Magana.
Good evening, Mayor,
evening.
members of the council. This project before you is specific plan amendment 99-58-A and design review 23-003. The Uptown Village specific plan comprises 17.4 acres, and it was originally approved by the City Council back in '96, and it was last amended in 2006. The applicant submitted applications for a specific plan amendment and design review back in December 28th of 2023 to amend the Uptown Village specific plan to establish a new planning unit.
Can you just raise it up a little higher? I'm having trouble hearing. Okay, thank you.
To establish a new planning unit for the development of a self-storage facility and future commercial uses on the remainder site, which is 7.16 acres. The Uptown Village specific plan area is mostly built out with commercial and residential uses. Back on August of last month, August 7th, the Planning Commission conducted a public hearing on the project. They took public testimony and recommended that the City Council approve the project with the incorporation of certain conditions of approval, and I will get to those at the end of the presentation. The specific plan amendment proposes to establish a planning unit for, and that includes 2 development scenarios that I'll go over in a little bit in more detail. It'll establish architectural landscaping development standards, establish modern parking standards, and a master sign program. This would also allow administrative design review of subsequent development, and this is unique on this project because I haven't seen this done before. But what the applicant did, he did the environmental analysis on the worst case build-out scenario for the entire site. So while he's only building a portion of the site, any other future developments will already have environmental clearance. And so that's a benefit because there's a lot of cost that goes into environmental studies and whatnot. And he took on that risk up front. And it also opens up that remainder of the site for development that would be, it would attract development much faster. And the design review before you is for the 2-story, 115,054 square foot self-storage facility, a 4,725 retail building. We don't know what that retail building is going to be yet, but it's included as part of this proposal, and related site improvements for the design review. This is a vicinity map of the area, kind of just showing you the project site where it's located. It's bounded by Rosemount on the north, Date Palm to the west, McCollum Way on the south, and the next slides are just photos of the general area there. This is facing southeast towards Rosemont. As you can see, there's some existing improvements already at this roadway. It's not fully improved, but it will be as part of this project. This is the actual entrance into the development that's before you on Date Palm. As you can see, there is some improvements again already through there. The roadway does extend to the back. There is a secondary access that's to the rear of the property. That's going to remain. It's not going to be moved. I know there was some concern about through traffic, but that's going to remain there.
So that'll remain closed?
Yes.
Oh, go back to the other video previous to that. Okay, now that'll go all the way through this road here?
This will go all the way through.
Now, is there going to be a light there or a caution light? Have we?
There will be a signal, future signal at that
Future
intersection.
signal there.
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
And then this is facing northeast. And so as you can see, the improvements on the right are the improvements that exist into the Dollar General and the Aaron Brothers, the vacant building that's there. And then in the center is basically really the site. This is the site plan of the original Uptown Village specific plan. And as you could see, in Planning Unit 1, which is the upper portion of this, where you see all the little boxes and proposed buildings there, since, as I mentioned earlier, this was approved back in 96. Well, it was adopted in 96. Since then, only 2 buildings have been developed on this upper portion of the specific plan area. You have the Dollar Tree that was constructed back in 2014, and that was 14 years later since the adoption of the specific plan. And then the Aaron Brothers was constructed in 2016, which was 16 years later. So, as you can see, it hasn't materialized, and that's the reason for the specific plan amendment before you tonight, is to kind of update it. Market trends are demanding new businesses to come in, and therefore there is this development proposal before you today. Again, this is a site showing the zoning. The site is zoned planned community commercial. There's planned community commercial to the north and across the street on Date Palm to the west. You have a residential, the Heritage Park Apartments just immediately adjacent to the east, with some single-family development as well. That was all part of the original specific plan there. Then additional single-family further east. Now, as I mentioned, this is the new planning unit, number 4. It basically kind of amends planning unit 1. It just creates a whole new, it's just the remaining vacant portion of the site. As I mentioned earlier, there's 2 development scenarios. This is scenario 1. This one would allow up to 133,243 square feet. This includes the 2-story self-storage facility with associated retail and office and loading areas that are associated with the self-storage facility, 2 drive-through restaurants, and 3 retail buildings. And of course, you have the associated parking, trash, landscaping, internal circulation, and the monument sign at the entry of the project. Scenario development number 2 would include up to 169,779 square feet. Again, it would include the 2-story self-storage facility with the associated uses, retail, office, loading areas, 1 big box retail business, and 1 retail building. And again, all the associated parking, trash enclosure, landscaping, internal circulation, and the monument sign. This is what's before you today is going to be, it's going to be phased in 2 phases. Phase 1 is really just the self-storage facility and the retail building in the front. Phase 2 is the remainder of the site, and that would be based on market demand. As the development comes in, it would be processed administratively by your staff. Here is a close-up of the site plan, just related more to the self-storage facility and the retail building. This is phase 1. Public improvements. I show the exhibit on the right, which is basically a assessor parcel map, but the conditions of approval require improvements in the public right-of-way. That includes streets, curbs, gutters, sidewalks, and some parkway landscaping along Date Palm, all along Date Palm. And a dedicated right turn lane is proposed at Rosemont into the site. Rosemont, as you know, I mean, the planning department is currently working on applications right now for a proposal of a 204-unit multifamily project on the north side of Rosemont. And there's, the project will also construct some road improvements on Rosemont. Rosemont Avenue is dedicated street. Like I said, I showed in the pictures earlier, it's not fully improved, but it will be. It will continue and go to Date Palm. There will be a signal at Date Palm. And there is revised conditions that I'll share with you later that related to those improvements. And it'll depend on which project comes in first when it goes to construction, but that roadway will be constructed.
So just while we're looking at this slide, I see it says Rosemont Road and then Rosemont Avenue where 30th should be. Is that just mislabeled on this?
It is, that should be 30th Avenue.
Okay, thank you.
Question. Phase 1, is that going to be improved all the way up to Rosemont?
I believe it is, am I correct? Or just to the entrance?
Just
Just to the entrance, well, which is halfway,
halfway, oh,
Yeah.
okay.
but both sides, so you'll have, want to go back?
Specifically, what was the question again?
If all the
Council
improvements are going to
member?
go all the
If
way
phase
across as
1
part of-
construction will go all the way up to Rosemont, because in one of the slides, it shows that, or I might have seen as only half of the property will be developed in the first phase.
Your first statement's correct. It'll only go to that first driveway.
Oh, okay. So half of the property will be developed in phase 1.
That is considered phase 1, correct?
Okay, thank you.
Thanks, John. So in terms of architecture, these are the elevations that are being proposed by the developer. There are, as you could see, a variety of, the building will be 32 feet in height total, up to the top of the parapet. The top of the roof would be 25 feet. So you'd have a little leeway to hide any kind of roof-mounted equipment on top of this building. The proposed building is contemporary, has contemporary architectural style, and it has a number of features, including metal canopies, corrugated metal, roll-up doors, perforated metal panels, metal coping, textured metal panels, stone veneer, and it'll have some medium and fine sand stucco finishes along with that. So I think the building mainly consists of neutral scheme with some dark metal accents that I think is going to give the building a warm appearance and some depth. Here's some better, view of the building in perspective. So you could see the pop-outs of the roof lines and the glass and the stucco and the different materials on the building. This is the material boards here. Now, the architecture of the planning unit, the new planning unit, is not intended to promote any particular architectural style, but rather depict design features that represent types of development that would be comparable within the allowed uses of the new planning unit. In terms of building mass and form, it would include a variety of roof lines to enhance the building form and architectural interest. Varying architectural massings and forms should be considered to create opportunity for material color changes, massing techniques, different roof lines, overhangs, building pop-outs, as well as recessed glass with thickened walls. Articulate building massing and enhance the architectural treatment to denote the primary building entrances. These are examples to show those kind of building forms and massing. In terms of open space and shades, you have public gathering spaces and outdoor plazas and patios are encouraged, especially in the commercial, retail, and restaurant areas. Trees and plantings to provide shade and that can accommodate the site furnishings out in the open areas. Even the use of metal and fabric awnings as shade to enhance the human comfort of the areas. Facade articulation, want to avoid these long empty walls or these big massive buildings with no architectural articulation. We want to include a lot of articulation so we can really accentuate the front of the building. Use very detailed openings such as arches and moldings, columns, wrought ironwork, different things to really just make the buildings attractive. Create shadow lines and opportunities to provide different color changes and material to foster a human scale experience. Pedestrian pathways, it's very important. I think the city is doing a great job in their ATP project here in the city. But within commercial centers, I think it's very important to connect these buildings and parking lots to get pedestrians to the locations safely, promote safe pedestrian movement through highly visible pathways and walkways, have pavers that accentuate these walkways to protect pedestrians walking through high traffic areas. The landscape plan, this is the site itself for phase one. As you can see, there's a good variety of desert drought tolerant plants in your staff report. I'm not going to go through the whole list, but it's extensive of the amount of trees and shrubs that they provide that would really make this project look really good and provide the shade that's needed. As you know, the heat out here can be pretty challenging. I point out the 40-foot easement to the senior housing that will be maintained. Also, we have conditions of approval that they have decorative paving at the entrances and landscaping on both sides of the entrance here. This is a plan view of the site in front on Long Date Palm, storage facilities to your upper right. Again, the California fan palms and the Palo Verdes. And then you also have the low shrubs, and you also see some low walls. It's not one solid wall that just blocks everything. It provides some interest there. This is an elevation view of that, same plan view. As you could see the palm trees and the Palo Verdes and the low walls and the shrubs. This is the entryway at the main entry to the project site. Again, decorative paving will be required and landscaping on both sides to create a good luscious landscaped entry. Here's an elevation view of that as well. Also shows the monument signs on either side. This is Rosemont. So this is the southeast corner that would also be landscaped. This is an elevation view of that, along with the monument sign also in that area. And then here is the monument sign. 6 foot high, combination of stone, some metal letters that pop off of the stucco backing, metal coping as well. Just really ties the project in. There was an environmental initial study done, mitigated negative declaration that was prepared. A notice of intent to adopt was released or published, which set the comment period for the project, which was July 2nd to July 22nd. We did receive comments. The response to comments are included in the staff report. We also have an updated mitigation measures that are included in the response to comments based on the comments that we received. And the mitigation measure monitoring program addresses issues related to mitigation measures on biological, cultural, tribal, and transportation and traffic issues. There was a 10-day public hearing notice that was published. It was mailed to everybody within 300 feet of the property. Then we did receive some comment letters that I believe are in your packet that you received. 3 letters from residents and then the adjacent property owner to the south. Pursuant to the city's adopted fee resolution, as you know, the applicant, their deposit-based fees, they put a deposit down for the city to pay for staff time, consultants, and your legal counsel. When those funds are expended, they will be replenished. To date, the applicant has spent approximately $40,000 in fees. According to the city's strategic plan goal, Goal F, I'm not going to read it word for word, but I'll leave it up there for a few seconds. But it's you're familiar with these. It's part of your strategic goal, strategic plan. Now, I mentioned before that there was revised conditions. The applicant has agreed on Rosemont to install some speed humps on that roadway because we are going to open up the roadway into the residential area there. And then there was some concern from residents about traffic going in and out of there. And so to keep the traffic speeds down, the applicant has agreed to install some speed humps, and those are that's been added as a condition of approval. And then also related to the improvements on Rosemont, again, as I mentioned before, depending on which project goes in first, there will be a co-op agreement to establish the responsibilities of those improvements of Rosemont, to have curb gutter and all the improvements to make it a safe roadway. The Planning Commission, and when they discussed the project, they raised some concerns about the specific plan amendment. They supported it and recommended approval, but they wanted to make sure that the council only allowed one self-storage facility on the remaining 7.16 acre site, only allowed 2 drive-through restaurants, and design the open space consistent with the specific plan. I mentioned a lot of the open space issues or matters, and the improvements of shade trees and connecting with pavers and whatnot. They just wanted to make sure that that's really part of any future development to really be consistent with the specific plan. And then they recommend that the council adopt the mitigated negative declaration, adopt an ordinance approving the specific plan amendment to the Uptown Village specific plan, and approve design review for the project based on the findings and conclusions and subject to the revised Planning Commission conditions of approval and the revised engineering conditions. That concludes my staff report. If there's any questions,
Thank you.
the
Thank you,
applicant is here
Martin.
as well.
Can you
Sure.
put the recommendations back up so that that'll be there? Thank you.
All right, thank you very much. My computer's not working properly, so I'm going to verbally, is there any questions? Councilmember Gutierrez?
Yes, I do have a question. Now, on phase 1, right at the corner, there's a pad that says future pad. Is that a future pad for a building? Is that going to be built during the phase 1, or is that going to be built in the future?
It's part of phase 1, but it's not going to be built at the same time that the self-storage facility is going to be built.
Oh, okay.
Okay?
All right, thank you.
But it's part of phase 1.
Okay, thank you.
It'll be future, yeah.
Councilmember Gregory?
So just quickly, so we see a number of recommendations that the Planning Commission made. Have those been incorporated into the recommendations? I see it here, but if we vote here to approve what's known as the staff recommendation, does that include the Planning Commission's recommendations, or do we have to make that separately?
No, that is included.
All right, thank you. And I, of course, want to thank the Planning Commission for their continued work. I know as a council member, I don't want to speak for everyone, but I know we depend on them to take the excellent work that staff does, including our consultants, and continue to refine that and make that better. So I think this is a good example of that. That's why I ask. Thank you.
And I just had one question, and that is, there's a page that lists all the recommended trees and shrubbery, and then you alluded to having walkable areas that were, provided some shade so that we could, encourage residents to walk. So is there a way to commit to that, or are these just recommendations? Because sometimes I see, I'm a walker, so I walk around and there isn't a lot of shade, so a palm tree doesn't provide a lot of shade, and sometimes the greenery is low, and unless you're teeny, it doesn't provide any shade. So I want to make sure that as we go forward, like today, my husband and I were celebrating that it was only 104. So, so it's only going to get more extreme, and these are the things that we need to do to make it comfortable for our residents to use our community.
Yes, the landscape palette provides not just the trees that I mentioned during my presentation, but these are, there's mesquites and there's African sumacs, and these are large canopy trees that would provide a lot of shade.
Like Indian laurels and
yes, I think they're even providing, just on phase 1 alone, they're covering 21% of the lot with shade.
Thank you.
Just by shade trees alone.
Thank you for clarifying.
No one else?
Mayor, before you call the public hearing, I have a couple of housekeeping items for you, if you don't mind. We did receive some late comment letters from one of the opponents to the project, and I do need to give you a little information so we make sure that they get incorporated into the administrative record today. At 2:39 today, we received a package from Esther Cornfield, who I understand to be a paralegal for the Silverstein Law Firm. This was a 19-page letter with numerous attachments. The whole package was 525 pages. Haven't had time to review it, of course, because it's a large amount, although I have read the letter from the attorney. That will be considered part of the administrative record. We also received at 2:49 from Mr. William Zastro a handout in opposition to the project. It consisted of basically 6 pages with a number of attachments. That whole document was another 60 pages. That will be made part of the administrative record as well. We did receive that electronically. Staff didn't have time to print the documents and provide the almost 600 pages in front of you on the dais. Both the applicant and opponents are here, and they can discuss that material if they wish as part of the public hearing tonight. With regard to the public hearing, since this is not just a general matter, this is a legislative matter and a development project, we need to allow people a fair opportunity to state their case and their argument, so we can't limit them to just 3 minutes. Often people can state their position in 1 minute. Sometimes they might take 4 or 5 or 6 minutes. We would like you to start with the applicant and the applicant's team. Once they've presented, then the clerk can call any other interested parties, and then it's traditional at the end of the public hearing to give the applicant a few minutes of rebuttal time. And of course, you may ask questions of any of the applicants or commenters as they're up here giving testimony.
Okay, thank you. What is a fair amount of time, though? I don't want a filibuster going on till midnight, so what's a fair amount of time?
Well, certainly some, up to 10 minutes if they have a substantial amount of information. What we would ask people is, look, don't be repetitive. Council only needs to hear the information one time. If there are a number of people who oppose the project and they all oppose them for, well, I don't like the view or this does that, they can just say, I agreed with the previous speaker, and that will be part of the record. Generally, when attorney firms or planning firms or other come out to support that, they might have some technical information they need to go through. That could take some amount of time. If we start getting over the 6 or 7 minute, we might ask them to proceed along, because we do want to make sure that we give everybody a chance to speak tonight.
Now, does that go for everybody or just the applicant and the whoever's opposing it? I mean,
everybody gets a fair opportunity to
Understood.
state their case, and if it's a short comment like, I've lived here for a long time and I don't like the project, that might only take 2 minutes.
Gotcha.
If there are a lot of detailed explanations for what's wrong with the project or what's good with the project, that could take a little more. Well, I'll weigh in if I think that we're exceeding or getting into filibuster territory.
And I'll watch the time. City Clerk, you can help me watch the time as well. And just so I got it straight here, before I open the public hearing, do we want to hear from the applicant first?
I open the public hearing, and they will be the applicant's team will be the first speaker.
That's fair. Okay. Thank you, Martin.
Good, thank you.
Okay, at this time, let me get this right here. At this time, I will open the public hearing. May we hear from the applicant, please? Or his representative? Or both, I guess.
Thank you, Mayor and council members. Good evening. It's a pleasure to be before you and bring, I think, what's an exciting project, not just this first phase, but we have a lot of interest in phase 2, and then we're in some discussions and negotiations. And just what I should, I don't know if I said, my name is Rob Bernheim. I represent the applicant, Jason Borg, who's here, and our team. We're excited about how we've worked with staff to come up with a plan that allows the reconfiguration, the reimagination of this piece of property that's sat vacant for 30 years, and provide short-term development and even incentives for people to come and go to this site. It was brought up by Martin that what we're doing is all the CEQA work, not just for what we originally envisioned, but staff came back to us and said, hey, what if a grocery store goes in there? What if a big box goes in there? So we actually redid the CEQA studies to kind of plan bigger, and that means that if somebody comes and wants to go into that site, they don't have to do that CEQA work. And not only that, they don't have to go to a public hearing at the Planning Commission because all the design guidelines are in the document that you're approving now. So they can go sit down with staff, come up, get approval through the staff process, and get going on the project. That could save 9 months to a year for somebody coming in. That's attractive for the tenants that we're looking at to come here. So we're excited about that. I don't have a formal presentation. We knew staff was going to do a good job. They've done a good job at the other hearings. We do have our traffic engineer, George Goshen, the Altum Group, who did land planning and engineering. Stephen Nieto's here. We have our communications, Beatrice Eslamboli, because we have done extensive community outreach. We held a community outreach meeting separate and apart from the city's process. We sent a mailer to everybody within 500 feet of the property and met and held a meeting, took some of their input. So she's here to answer any questions if there's any on how we've communicated with the community. I would like to reserve my time to the end. I'd like to hear what some of the comments are and be able to respond to those and maybe put some things on the record at that time.
Fine, thank you. Thank you. So Rob, anyone else from the applicant want to speak, or we can move over?
Only if you have specific questions.
Okay. Any questions, council members? No. Thank you.
Okay, our first speaker is Scott Zastro.
I apologize if it appears I'm going old school, but I'm an engineer for 30 years, so this is the way I would have done it 25 years ago. I'll lift it up to show you in a second.
Scott, if you don't mind, as close as you can to that microphone.
Okay.
So everybody, for the thousands of people at home that are watching.
Okay. Let me try to prop that up. Does this mic do anything? Or?
Christina, help you there.
Okay. Christine can hold that up. Thank you so much. Okay.
Thank you, Charlie.
My name is Scott Zastro. I live in Holland, Michigan. I own Peerless at Mammoth, which owns 30,900 Date Palm Drive, which is adjacent to the proposed project, the Rosemont Storage Project. We understand that things will change and changes can be great for communities, but we also understand that changes can be very disastrous too if they're the wrong change. Mr. Borg contacted me in December of 2022 requesting Peerless to consent to his proposed storage building and changes to the CC&R. After reviewing Mr. Borg's request, I informed him that Peerless would not consent to the proposed project or the changes of the CC&R. The development Robot Land established main drive aisles as part of the CC&Rs to provide a low-speed pedestrian-scale village which adjoins the neighboring subdivision, as required by the city-specific plans. The main drive aisles are located along the property lines between the Uptown Village parcels as depicted in this exhibit here, which is Exhibit B. Sorry, I have to go back to the microphone. But if you'll see the property lines, there's squares on here that are in red. Those indicate the main drive aisles that are a part of the CC&Rs, and it's in Exhibit B, which is what this document here is. This document here, you can set that one down. This next one. This is page 22 from the Robot Lands brochure, which clearly depicts the relationship between the main drive aisles and the parcel lines of Exhibit B, in addition to the village streetscape, because you can see in light gray, that's supposed to be the street and the parking areas, the common areas, the free access areas, and the easements. The final drawing, this one, this is the final vision of the main drive aisles as provided for a low-speed pedestrian scale village, which was depicted in page 22 of the robot lots. The proposed project, this is what it's supposed to be, and my project is obviously down at the Aaron's building. The proposed project, you can just set those down on the floor now. You can see from this drawing, this is the proposed project. This is Rosemont Storage Project's plans. The bright red circle there is an indication of the road that I had to build as part of my parcel when I developed it. And that's the easement road, or the main drive aisle road that was required of me to be put in. Now, with their construction, that building will completely block the access of that main drive aisle. So it won't be there, it won't exist. And if you look at the other plan, it's the same thing. There's no difference for us. By the city approving the project, the Rosemont project will take Peerless's right to the Uptown Village irrevocable easements, access, common areas, and free access granted to Peerless under the CC&Rs. The city's actions would be tantamount to committing an act of eminent domain without following the legal protocols of such an action. The Rosemont storage team has stated that the main drive aisles will be relocated to the service road behind the storage building. Such a relocation is completely unacceptable and not in compliance with the CC&Rs. Article 4 of the CC&Rs grants each parcel owner irrevocable easement access, common areas, and free access that are perpetual. The word perpetual was used by the developer in the easements. Article 2 of the CC&Rs defined the common areas including main drive aisles, as were shown in Exhibit B. So he was not only defining it in words, but he showed him in a plan. Article 12 of the CC&R states that the easements set forth in Article 4 are perpetual, as stated therein. The developer took the step to establish perpetual easements that shall survive the termination of the declaration of the CC&Rs. The irrevocable easements, access, common areas, and free access of the easements cannot be changed without the approval of all parcel owners. Not a single parcel owner, not 2 or 3 or a part, but all. And then with all that said, you might sit there and think, with everything being submitted by Rosemont's team and the city staff, one might be surprised of this. I'll set it right there. This is an email by Mr. Borg of the Date Palm and Rosemont Realty. And he sent this to me on December 7th, 2022. And in this, he admitted that all parcel owners must agree to the changes to the CC&Rs for changes to be effective. Mr. Borg then stated, from Date Palm and Rosemont Realty's perspective, there is no plan B. If we cannot obtain a consent to change the CC&Rs, we will cancel escrow and terminate the existing agreement. So now I ask you, why are we here? Why did Mr. Borg not terminate his easement or his escrow back in December of 2022? I don't know. All he's done is frustrate me for the last 3 or 4 months. I was asked yesterday, why did I not come forward earlier? I contacted the city when this was brought to my attention by Mr. Borg. At that time, whoever was the city planner, I called him every 2 to 3 weeks for roughly 4 months, until April 13th, I believe it was. When I contacted the planner at that point, he said he's aware of a proposal, nothing's official. When something becomes more official, he would reach back out to me and let me know. And I appreciated the call and said that was it. Lo and behold, July 7th of this year, I get a statement or a letter from the city saying, hey, there's a negative declaration being done, and it's all done. I'm at a loss, so I'm playing catch up. Peerless understands the city does not want to enforce the CC&Rs. However, that does not mean the city should subscribe to or turn a blind eye to obvious problems when an applicant comes to them with a major project application such as this project. Peerless believes the city is required to exercise due diligence and good faith, rather than just accepting carte blanche that the self-interested Rosemont Storage project developer's claims that he ostensibly has the authority to pursue the application, and his project conforms with the CC&R. As an example to this, if the moon was in the city's jurisdiction and a developer told the city the moon was made of green cheese, would the city then rezone the moon because of that designation by that person? I doubt it. The city has made it clear that they don't want to be involved in interpreting and enforcing the CCNRs of the Uptown Village. Therefore, the city should allow the owners of the parcel within the Uptown Village to determine if and when permitted uses and changes to the declaration of the CCNRs can and will be made. Once those decisions have been made in accordance with the CCNRs, then a parcel owner may apply to the city for approval of a change to permitted uses and proposed projects. Then yesterday, I had a meeting with Mr. Andrew Firestein. I asked the question, does the city want a personal storage building in a shopping center in the city? Mr. Firestein said very unequivocally, no. The city does not want a storage facility in a shopping center, but the city feels the project might stimulate growth in the area. I don't understand how a staff member could say to me they don't want a storage project in a shopping center and then turn around and propose a change to conditional uses that are already in place that I have to abide by. And so now we're here looking at this saying, how does this support the purpose and intent of the original specific plan? Why is the city so willing to go so far to change the permitted uses when there's no industrial appearing buildings operating as a storage building within a shopping center within the city of Cathedral City? And also, Mr. Firestein made the comment to me yesterday that throughout the planning department staff report, he stated that this project would potentially stimulate growth. And he also has this stated in the staff report, page 5, paragraph 1, it says, the SPA has been in place since 1998. There's nothing to dispute that. And it does not support the build out of the remaining 7 acres. SPA, the amended one, provides for modernization and flexibility to facilitate a build out. This insinuates that the specific plan is outdated. Is why? What is the data? What empirical data? I'm an engineer again. I look for data that would say the plan that's in place won't make it. Yes, you can say that nothing's happened there in years. It's on the boundary of the desert, basically, more or less in the city. There hasn't been a lot of growth there. I get it, I understand it. But why would you put an industrial building in the middle of a shopping center again? I just don't understand it. I would contend with Mr. Firestein, if you build the 204 multifamily residential unit north of Rosemont, which I hear is proposed, that probably the land between my property and Rosemont would fill in with commercial development, and most likely within the specific plan that's currently in place. So with all that, we ask you to deny the Rosemont storage project. At a minimum, we would ask you that you would continue this hearing and give us at least 30 more days. We have presented a large volume of information. That has to do with the timing of what happened to me, getting a notification in July and having to pull together a legal team that could defend this for me. If the city approves this, I'm left with no other option but to go to court and seek injunctive relief in that manner. And I don't want to do that. That will do nothing but cost me money, it will cost you money, it will cost Mr. Borg money, but maybe he doesn't care. Are there any questions for me?
Council, any questions? Councilman Gutierrez?
No questions.
Councilman Levin? No, Scott, thank you very much.
Okay. I just want to make sure we did submit the documentation from our legal counsel today and the packet, so.
Yeah, he mentioned that earlier, Scott.
Okay.
Do you want to open up for public comment now? I see there's more names here.
Yes,
Okay.
yes. So our next speaker is Ahmed
Thank you, Scott.
Khan.
Good evening, Mayor and council members. My name is Ahmed Khan. I live in Cathedral City, a beautiful city. Bought my first home here. Put down quite a bit of money, but I love it. I enjoy the views. I enjoy the community. The neighbors take our trash cans in. Nicest people. I came from Orange County. They're not as nice in Orange County, but they're lovely here. They're lovely. Put together a little thing. I oppose the storage unit as well as my neighbors as well. The neighbors were working. Many people are like 5:30. I can't make it. So I'll just kind of add, if we would like some views from the neighbors or a petition or something like an increase of 30 days, such as the gentleman before me, I'd love to volunteer and help out to oppose the storage unit. First and foremost, the facility will drastically alter the character of our neighborhood. Our community is known for positive, family-friendly environment and charming residential character, and the facility is out of sync with this. It's a significant departure from the existing landscape, which consists mainly of single-family homes and, I'll say green space, but we know it's a desert space. Still beautiful. The construction of such a large towering building will overshadow our homes, negatively affecting the quality of life and potential reducing the property values in the area. I'll ask Mayor, would you like to buy a home behind an industrial building or a public storage unit on Rosemont or any of the other streets behind? I think the answer is no. Furthermore, the increase of traffic due to the storage facility is a major concern. This is off-peak desert time, and Date Palm is the only corridor into Cathedral City, and it's slammed from 3 a.m. till midnight. I'm sure the police officers are aware of that. They're congested. This is especially worrying given that there's 2 schools right there that also block the entire street of 30th on the way to pick up students or at the end of school. So the potential accidents are concerning for the many residents in my neighborhood. So as mentioned, I'm opposed to the public storage as well as the neighbors. And as the gentleman before me mentioned, I believe an additional 30 days to get the word out to the people who are outside of 500 feet of the public storage unit. Many people I've talked to just in walking by, and they're like, I never knew that this was a thought. But in that neighborhood behind, or let's just call it Date Palm and 30th, the majority of people are against a public storage unit being built. That is all I have to say, and if there's any next steps or actions from the council members that would like me to help out with, petition or a certain number, I would love to help. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
The next speaker is Carl Peterson.
My name is Carl Peterson. I'm an 18-year resident homeowner at 30640 Sierra Place. We are objecting to the opening of Rosemont Road as a thoroughfare. The project can have access to Rosemont Road without opening up the street. The footprint is there. It's wide enough for the city, Rosemont Road does not connect with any major cross streets like McCullum or 30th to go through to the city limits. Rosemont is only 2 blocks long. It is a residential area. If it is connected through, it will open up to traffic jams in the morning and at the close of school. Right now, 30th and McCullum are K-blocked at those hours. And people will divert and will use Rosemont Road as an alternative to that. So we will encourage, we will increase traffic, we'll have increased noise, increased pollution, and our property values will probably go down. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Are there any other members of the public that wish to comment on this item? We have no further public comments.
Thank you. Rob, did you want to approach? Thank you.
Thank you. Good evening again, Mayor and council members. Rob Bernheimer. Yeah, I just want to respond to some of the things that have been said so you know what the developer's perspective on this are. With regards to the folks who are concerned about amending the specific plan to allow for a storage facility and the impacts on the neighborhood, well, first of all, they talk about traffic. There's going to be no traffic with a storage facility compared to if there was retail built throughout the entire site. It would be far more traffic. So we're actually lessening the impacts in the neighborhood by making these changes to the specific plan. Also, it's interesting that the underlying zoning, as Mr. Magana pointed out, is PCC. PCC actually allows for self-storage. So if we didn't have a specific plan at this site, we conform to the zoning. So it's just the specific plan itself that doesn't allow for storage, but the underlying zoning does. With regards to the lengthy presentation of our neighbor, I just want to make a couple points. He talked about an email where Mr. Borg said if he didn't get these changes, he had no plan B and he'd cancel escrow. Well, what happened when those CC&R amendments were denied is Mr. Borg went and sought some counsel on what to do about the CC&Rs. And so with legal counsel, they changed the project. Basically, he came up with a plan B. He changed the project to conform with the CC&Rs and then decided to move forward with the city without the changes. We actually believe that the project would have been better had we been able to move forward with a change in the CC&Rs, but we weren't able to accomplish that. So we did the next best thing. We went back to the drawing board, redrew the project to be in conformance with the CC&Rs, and then we needed the city's approval to amend the specific plan. That's why we're here today. And I think 30 years of nothing being built there is pretty good data to show that maybe the plan's wrong and we need to change it to attract development. And I'm sincere when I say we've got some good things coming on the rest of this project that would have never come had we not done this environmental work for here. So I'm very excited about that. I do want to take, just real quickly, we got this 19-page letter from a law firm who specializes in CEQA litigation. And so I want to, at least for the record, address some of the issues where they say the CEQA document is inadequate, and I believe the CEQA document's adequate. And I'll do this quickly. First, they say there was a lack of due process. I think the city staff can show you where all of the notices and all of the documents have been made available to the public during the appropriate periods of time. There is no due process issue here. There's a number of arguments peppered throughout this letter that are based on a false premise. The premise is our project is eliminating the pedestrian and bike passages along Date Palm, and therefore the pedestrian and bike have to go through our project to continue up Date Palm, and we haven't adequately planned for that in our plan. That's false. We are providing the general plan required dedication for street widening of Date Palm. It's a 90-foot width. We're doing the half width so that the city will have enough room for a sidewalk and a bike lane. Obviously, you're not going to build a bike lane just in front of our project until you can build it a far enough distance that it's going to mean something for the residents. So you'll have the width available for it, and when you have the appropriate amount of bike lane available down Date Palm, you can stripe in that bike lane in the future. But we are providing the bike lane and the pedestrian so that that traffic is not being diverted onto our property, and therefore it is being handled. And not only that, our specific plan has a lot in it with regards to pedestrian connectivity, bikes, things like that. So anybody who comes on our property is going to be safely managed. It's incorrect when they state that we block off lots 1 and 2 from Planning Unit 4. There is a road that goes through from the existing 2 commercial sites all the way through, and ultimately all the way through to Rosemont. So there will be connectivity. You don't have to go on Date Palm or a busy street to get there. That's being provided for. There was a specific challenge with regards to biological. They brought up, the attorney brought up, made the claim that we didn't effectually address the burrowing owl, and I'll just point to condition number 3.32 bio-2. It's a pretty extensive requirement on the project with regards to the burrowing owl, and I think that that's adequately addressed. My final comment on CEQA is there was the end of the letter talks about this project is improperly piecemealing under CEQA. And basically the argument is we have these 2 scenarios and we haven't identified which scenario, and therefore the project's being piecemealed. And although the language in the document could be more artfully drafted, the data behind that document is all there that supports what we've done, which is we've done the CEQA analysis for both scenarios. And certainly the grocery store scenario is the higher impact, and that has required more mitigation because of it. If we were just building the first scenario, we probably wouldn't have the same mitigation, but we're taking on all that mitigation as if we're building the highest, most intense scenario. And therefore, we fully analyze the impact in the specific plan amendment and the mitigated negative declaration, and analyze the potential development and physical development of both scenarios, contrary to what this letter said. And I think, I'm hoping staff would agree with me on those comments, that the CEQA document's adequate and addresses all the concerns that were raised by this letter.
All right, thank you, Rob. Council members, any questions? Councilman Gregory?
I have a question. Now, there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 properties, or 6 lots, actually, that are in question right now. All these properties are owned by the same owner, correct?
Correct.
Which is
my client.
Your client. Okay. That's it for now. Thank you.
Yeah, the entire 7+ acres is now owned by my client.
Now, these properties are part of the HOAs in which are in question?
They're part of the
Well, CCNRs.
They're subject to the CCNRs, and I'll just say we've hired, expert counsel on CCNRs. We don't believe that their interpretation of the CCNRs is accurate, and in any event, it really doesn't concern the city. And I don't think Mr. Zastro's suggestion of let's go get something approved under the CCNRs and then come to the city is necessarily the right approach. I think we need to come to the city and find out what the city's going to allow. Let's get that approved, and then if we need an amendment to the CCNRs, we can pursue that, or the project dies. We've happened to design the project in a way that we don't think we need an amendment to the CCNRs. I will point out one thing, though. He went through the CCNRs with you, but failed to point out Exhibit C of the CCNRs, which specifically gives the city the right, and the city reserves the right, to modify these plans. Because it was all just conceptual 30 years ago, and the city didn't want to tie its hands. So even in the CCNRs, there was a reservation by the city that it could change the plans.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. I was going to follow through with Mr. City Attorney on the CCNRs from what Rob has spoken about. That's accurate, and the city is not involved with the CCNRs other than landscaping.
Correct. Yep, that's what I agree 100% with what he said. We're focused on our zoning and application of what our land use controls are. The private property owners may have a dispute amongst themselves, but that's based on their own CCNRs, which we do not enforce or police.
Okay, any other questions for the city attorney? Okay, all right, thank you. All right, thank you.
Thank you.
City Clerk, is there any more comments from the public?
Are there any other members of the public that wish to comment on this item? I see none, Mayor.
Okay.
Mayor, one other note for you. I do notice that in the staff's presentation, they noted 2 revised conditions of approval, 4.38 Roman numeral V and 4.38 VIII, or little Roman numeral 5 and 8, if you will. Your motion should include the adoption of those. So your motion would be to adopt staff's recommendation with these 2 revised conditions of approval.
Okay. All right, thank you. Okay, at this particular time, I will close the public hearing. And council members, is there any questions or comments that you want to make? If not, I'm ready for a motion and a second.
So I move approval of staff recommendation with the 2 revised conditions as outlined by the city attorney.
Do I have a second? We're going to do oral.
No, we're going to try the system. Looks like we're back online. Councilmember Gregory, please select mover. Councilmember Lamb, please select seconder. Please vote. We have a motion by Councilmember Gregory and a second by Councilmember Lamb. Motion carries all ayes.
Okay, thank you very much. Award.
Mayor,
Yeah.
1 second, I do need to read the title of the ordinance. This is to introduce, provide first reading by title only, and waive further reading of an ordinance adopting specific plan amendment 99-55-A to the Uptown Village specific plan based on the findings and conclusions contained in the agenda report.
Okay, thank you very much. Legislative actions, award a construction contract to contractor for HSIP Cycle 9B, Varner Road Safety Improvement Project. Do we have a staff report, Mr. City Manager?
Thank you, Mayor. Members of the council, Andrew Lee of our engineering department will present this item. This is a grant-funded project that we've been working on for many years, and I'm happy to say that we're ready to award the contract tonight. Andrew?
Thank you, Mr. City Manager, for the introduction. Honorable Mayor, City Council members, tonight I'll be presenting the recommendation to award a contract for the construction of HSIP Cycle 9B, Varner Road Safety Improvements Project. So shown on this slide, highlighted in red, is the project location that was submitted with the original application in 2018. We will review a revised version of this project location later on in the presentation. So going over Highway Safety Improvements Program background, City has been very successful in obtaining HSIP grant funds. To date, City has been awarded just shy of $9 million in HSIP grant funds. Projects that are eligible for HSIP grant funding are ones that offer safety enhancements and can include installing or upgrading pedestrian crossings, ADA curb ramps, additional signage, guardrails and rumble strips, traffic signal upgrades, and bike facilities, to name a few. And I just wanted to highlight that Caltrans will not provide funding for repaving or maintenance projects. Okay. To review the background of the project, in December 2018, the city was awarded just over $1 million for the Date Palm Drive and Varner Road Safety Improvements Project. In January 2020, the City Council approved an agreement with Kimley Horn and Associates to start on the preliminary design phase. And in June 2021, there was an amendment for additional environmental and cultural tasks per NEPA requirements. In January 2024, as we were nearing the end of the design, city staff and Caltrans met to reduce the scope of the project due to significant rise in construction costs since 2018. This scope reduction eliminated the Date Palm Drive segment of the project, but that is that will still be completed in partnership with the Coachella Valley Association of Governments. In February of 2024, the design phase was completed, and in April, City Council approved a contract with Wildan Engineering for construction engineering support services. So here is the project location map shown again, and you'll see the project location on Varner Road from Mountain View to just southeast of Date Palm Drive. And you see in green here the Date Palm Drive segment that was removed from this HSIP project, but will be completed in partnership with CVAG. The safety enhancements that are included with the project are flashing solar LED signs, as well as centerline rumble strips, solar speed feedback signs, and guardrail systems. Okay, so the invitation to bid was published in the Desert Sun on June 28th, and also advertised on the Cathedral City website and Planet Printworks. The advertisement ran until July 23rd. And on July 23rd, there was a bid opening held at City Hall, and no bids were received. Pursuant to federal guidelines, the project was bid again for a second time in the same locations, and this advertisement ran from July 31st to August 22nd. So on the bid opening on August 22nd, the city received one bid from Granite Construction Company out of Indio, California, in the amount of $743,000. Due to receiving only one bid and this being a federally funded project, city staff consulted with Caltrans, and Caltrans approved the city to move forward with the award of contract to one bidder. The estimated construction cost comes out to just over $850,000, and this includes Granite Construction Company's bid amount as well as a 15% contingency. The difference between the estimated construction cost and the HSIP funds remaining for construction is in the amount of $73,665, and city staff is requesting to reallocate available Measure A funds. This agenda item aligns with Goal B, community investments in our 5-year strategic plan. And the recommendation tonight is for the City Council to award a construction contract to Granite Construction Company, as well as approve a 15% contingency, making the total encumbrance $854,450, approve a budget adjustment in the amount of $73,665 from Measure A funds, and authorize the city manager and city engineer to complete their necessary tasks to move forward with this project. And with that, I will hand it back to you, Mayor.
Great, thank you very much. Any questions from council? No questions? No questions? Public comments?
Mayor, we do not have any members of the public present in the audience.
Do I have a motion and a second?
Construction contract to contractor for HSIP Cycle 9B.
I second that motion.
Okay. Please vote. We have a motion by Councilmember Lamb and a second by Councilmember Gutierrez, and motion carries, all ayes.
Okay, thank you very much. Discussion on future agenda items. Council, is there any discussion on future agenda items? I'm sorry? I have nothing. Okay, all right. Then there's no closed session items this evening. The next regular city council meeting will be held on September 25th, 2024. Meeting is adjourned. Thank you, everyone. Thank you. And you want the...
Sorry, Mayor?
These big old books, leave them right here?
Yes, please.
All right.